I was asked to present a message, and for me to present a message, it's a little bit of a challenge because I've been studying and working on understanding this ascension process for probably 30 to 35 years now, and so I've got things wrapped up pretty well in my own mind, I should say, and then it changes and expands as I see new things every day. So it's there's basic things that I think are helpful, and there's a different mindset that kind of goes with understanding this process that is different than what we're trained to believe from our parents and our childhood and that type of thing. So I'd say that and this is a very advanced group, so it's a little bit different. You try to kind of match match who you're talking with. So if I had to pick something that I would try to deliver to this group, I would say that it would be to make your life a practice. Make your life a practice, because life is something that hasn't really, doesn't really get a lot of so much attention in a positive way, and it doesn't always get a real profound meaning to it. But life is a consciousness that's here on the planet, and it is working with everyone, and everyone has a relationship with it. Everyone sees life differently. Everyone experiences it differently. So trying to work with this process of understanding life, use it to see what is happening in your life and see what's happening in yourself, as well as developing a meditation practice that can accent and further your development too. So it's kind of like when I say use life as a practice, I'd say go about your day and your life, whatever it is that you're doing and your purpose, and do that. But then also have a meditation practice that supplements it and adds to it as well. And I try to get an understanding around our beings and our world of what's going on to help people navigate this practice and develop new tools, and to develop ways to make your life more effective, to bring more change to it, to help you to graduate this giant school that we're all in, because that's kind of a different mindset than just a survival type mindset that just has to get the bills paid, has to get a new house or a bigger car or a better spouse or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve at that moment, more free time. Everybody is trying to achieve something at different times. So we try to see life in a different way. I build a model around what is our human experience, what consciousness is about. And on a conscious level, you see what you understand. So I try to bring a lot of understanding into the picture so that it helps us with our insight. But on a conscious level, higher has dominion over lower. And so we focus on our higher centers as we integrate it through our being, and we try to bring more understanding and more integration and more unity within our being all the time. So we'll talk about that a little bit, but I wanted to get back to this understanding of life as a consciousness now, because it's something that I think has been missing in a lot of people's practice, and it really kind of is the core and what I would consider developing in your meditation practice, a center channel technique that develops within your being, that tries to unify your being together. Because life is like I said, it is your relationship with source, with your higher selves, within your being. And when we're born, we are oriented in an outward direction to face the world, and that's part of the evolution of things, so that we can search the world and discover its treasures, develop relationships, develop an understanding of the various worlds within this world, and grow from that. And so life is always meeting us where we are, and we're trying to understand life in possibly a new way, that is seeing it where life is working with everyone all the time. We may not recognize it, but when you start seeing what life is presenting to you on any given day, you start moving through life in a much more, much quicker way, because life is presenting to you what is the safest, quickest, most efficient way for you to unfold your being and to develop in a way that it's safe and it's meeting you right where you are. If you want to go to a more profound understanding of life, life when it flows, it has a vertical flow to it. It has a downward coming down to you and into the planet, which is a masculine energy, and then it has a return energy, which is feminine, that goes back up. And so it has this idea that we are establishing ourselves first with our masculine energy, and then once we've got ourselves anchored in and grounded, then we soften these energies and these virtues and their being, and it goes back to source again, and there's this bidirectional flow that happens within our being. But at first, it meets us where we are. If we're oriented in an outward direction, it meets us outside of ourselves. And as we evolve and we get our lessons, which means that there's less on us, and we keep on going up in levels and going higher and higher, we tend to start looking more inward. We develop more insight, and we look inward rather than outward. And that gives us new tools to work with. It gives us new abilities. It gives us more insight that makes us more empowered. We eventually become a conduit for life to flow through within us, rather than having to meet us in our outer world. That has to take quite a long time sometimes to set up our lessons and to see what life is trying to present to us. And there's not even really a mechanism where we tend to reflect on our life in a way that actually reflects back to us, because really the world is full of mirrors and trying to show us our own self, until we can actually develop an insight that can look inward to ourselves. But even knowing this, we can take responsibility for what's happening in our life and say, what is life presenting to me today? What is it that happened that pushed my buttons, that made me react in a way that was kind of unbecoming, and now I want to be more responsive and rather than reactive. So there's a whole lot going into understanding this center channel and this consciousness of life. And I used to think that life and spirit were pretty similar in energies, because it was above me, and I didn't really understand what type of consciousness I was breathing within myself. And then at some point, you actually get more discernment within your practice, your meditation practice, because spirit is kind of a fiery energy. Mental energy is more of an airy energy. Emotions are more of a watery energy. And then the physical consciousness is something that we're all trying to work out and work with. And that takes a little bit more to start moving it, and why sometimes it takes a while before we actually change our experiences. And we have to do a lot of inner work on a conscious level to try to make our experiences happen. But the idea is to focus more on your inner world, and that your being is actually a reflection of your outer world all the time, so that by changing yourself, you change your world, and not the other way around. So it takes a little bit of a different mindset. But in general, people don't really see what I call on their plate, because when you don't see what life lessons are, they keep building up, and they kind of get more and more of what you call like your issues that are right in front of you all the time. And people get caught up into them. Other people are bringing their issues. And it's kind of equivalent to have a plate in front of you that just is spilling over all over the place. And it's a real mess. And it's on the floor, you slip on it. It's just like people always want to get to their dessert, but they don't finish what's on their plate. And so we kind of have a practice that in the evening time that kind of reflects more on your day, because you've already kind of spent most of your energy and you're pretty tired. So in the end of the day, you kind of want to bring some balance to your day, you want to reflect on your day, to try to see what life is presented to you. And that's kind of an evening meditation. And I try to at least do meditation twice. So in the morning time, it's more of an empowering meditation that tries to unify you and bring you to bring you together through a common identity that centers you. You come out more stronger and face your day as a more unified being and stronger than you were yesterday. But at the end of the day, you're kind of reflecting a little bit more on your day. So you don't have to try to power through your meditation and think it's going to be the same meditation all the time. But this way, that's why they call it the evening. It brings balance back to your day. You have to look at both sides of every situation. You don't just think that they're wrong and you're right. You have to kind of expand your mind, get out of this mindset that's black and white, and you try to see it from a different perspective, because life is working with everyone and you want to see the situation in its entirety rather than trying to just only understand from your own perspective. You know your own perspectives, most people do, but to try to see it from other perspectives, then it tries to get around the situation. And when you get what life is presenting to you and you understand what the lessons are, it's always something simple, and usually there's something very humorous about it, and you just kind of get it, and you laugh about it, and then it usually goes away unless there's a lot more to it that usually has other issues associated with it. But life is a process, life is a practice, and try to embrace it a little bit more, see it a little bit more differently, because we've been wrapped up in our experiences and our belief systems, and our belief systems are what we've accepted as we come down to the planet. They wrap around us and they act like filters that show us the world in the way that we're accustomed to. And it's like looking through a bunch of different sunglasses all the time, and it colors the world accordingly, and it actually reaffirms that this is the way the world is. The world's full of enemies. It's a dangerous place. People are so disrespectful. Life is hard. All these things that we accept when we come down in, and then life is showing us where those beliefs are, and we're to try to discover and take off these covers as we grow up in the levels. Let me just pause a minute, because I lose people pretty quickly on things. So let me, are we okay with everything so far?
Yeah, I had a quick question.
Sure.
I was kind of interested in, because you studied science and medicine, what your perspective is on the quantum field of this energetic exchange between cosmos and Earth, and how that fits into your choosing your life reflection.
Let me say that everything here is created. Everything here is by design. Everybody is right where they need to be. It's hard to see that, but mass consciousness is has stages, levels of mass consciousness, just like there's levels in the atmosphere, levels of thermoclines and currents within the oceans, and there's levels within the earth. In mass consciousness, we have levels too. And when we're born, we resonate at the root chakra, and we transition ideally every 7 years to the next level and the next level and the next level. And we go through, this would be our human experience. We go through the different levels until basically our body runs this program, and then we transition and we leave this physical body, and we then go get born somewhere else. And every time we have a lifetime, it is an extension of our life and our life stream coming down to the planet, creating a body, and then it goes through its development, and then it takes there is an out breath, and then there's an in breath back. So every lifetime is basically a breath of the soul, and we take on another embodiment. We have another body, and we learn from it, and it adds to the overall. Now, your higher self is holding on to everything that you've ever accomplished in every lifetime, and it controls this center channel and how big of an aperture that you're going to get, and how much of a flow of life is going to come through you. And most people are operating at around 1%. And that's an existence survival base where people are having this human experience. And we go through these different stages of life, and we have different personality centers that basically serve us and tell us who we are at that level. And if you think about it as a I like a lot of symbologies. So if you think about your being as potentially being a giant tree within this mass consciousness, that our personality centers are like the little the Christmas bulbs on the edge of on the outsides of the limbs, so to speak, hanging along. And as we go through the different stages, we get reacquainted with different personality centers. Some stay with us, some don't. And they are conditioned so that when we walk into a situation, that personality center resonates, and we go about with that identity in that situation, and we go about that identity, and we respond in another situation. We have a family life, we have a work life, we've got a social life, we've got different colors within our being, but the problem is that they're separated, and we're conditioned. So we go from personality center to personality center. When you start developing a center channel, you identify more with the center of the tree and develop a center channel that encompasses the entirety of your being, and you're not just pulled around by personality centers, getting pulled out of your center all the time. You accept yourself, you pull all your energy back, your higher self keeps expanding it, and you develop more of a center channel. You develop an identity of yourself that is encompassing the entirety of your being, rather than believing yourself to be small and weak, and I need this, and I have to have that, and I can't do this. All these limitations, they're all these different belief systems that we've believed in for such a long time, and they act like sails within mass consciousness. Mass consciousness has worlds that are in horizontal flows. You're trying to align yourself with this vertical flow that's within you. And so these belief systems, when they're activated and you're breathing with them, and that's what's on your plate, they take you around into these influences of different worlds that these personality centers are pulling you around. You're getting a practice that is in a vertical practice that is breathing vertically. You can see where the symbology of the cross starts to come in play here, because when you are being pulled by your belief systems, they are carrying you outside your center, and you're in another influence. There's nothing wrong with this. This is part of the human experience. Now that you know better, you can start to understand this game, and you see that your practice now becomes very important. You're going to start to get a vertical breath. You're going to get a breath that breathes through the center channel. You're going to start identifying with becoming a presence, a divine being, a breath that is going to start getting in line with life itself, which you have to get yourself in line with it. It has a vertical flow. And so you can see that starts to be this conflict that's going on between the world of mass consciousness, which we're learning from, and then this idea of us unifying around our own centered channel and becoming this great tree within mass consciousness that sees itself as a multidimensional being that can actually express itself through any center it wants to. But in order to do so, it has to have this flow of consciousness within us, and it is regulated by your higher self. And so in the meantime, while we're developing this, you develop one of the greatest things you can do is develop a relationship with your higher self. Think about it as being the star at the top of the tree, so to speak, and you're there at these various different personality centers, and you are learning how to get in line with who you truly are rather than what you believed yourself to be. So I like to think about your practice as a meditation practice as kind of like target practice. And so when you are closing your eyes, you're getting a little space from behind your eyes, you're starting to look up, you start to watch your breath, because your attention, when it's on your breath, it is starting to develop a more conscious breath, and you develop a more dense breath that becomes more aware, more useful, rather than just being a part of mass consciousness, which is going to sweep you away in these other worlds, and you're never going to develop a true center. So this is how we start to develop a sphere of influence that is more effective, it's more yours, it starts to become more empowering. You keep coming back to it and building it as you start getting yourself more in line with the center part of the tree, rather than being pulled out by different personality centers. At the end of the day, you want your personality centers. You want to add color to your life. You want to have a tree that has lots of personality. It's fine, but the thing is that you don't serve them, they serve you. You're not being pulled around by them. You can wear them, and when you wear them fully, and you go out into your world as a unified being. So it's not like you're fighting against yourself. You want to develop this relationship that is honoring the fact that you've made many gains and you understand this world. You're here for a reason. If you're in an influence and it's out there, life is still working with you while you're out there too. You know, you might not feel as empowered and you might feel like you're subject to it, but when you come back in the evenings, you process it and you learn how to bring it back together and see what tripped you up, what pulled me out, why did I react to this, why am I serving this when I should be having one master that lines up with the star at the top of the tree. So yes, please, thank you, Sally, for stopping me.
Thank you. So I just want to say that this is so here's what aligns with my spiritual practice.
Excellent.
Well, my spiritual practice doesn't, I mean, I include Jesus as a teacher. It's not a Christian spiritual practice for me. So I wanted just to honor that we have diverse spiritual practices here. And I love one of your first statements is make your life a practice, which to the best of my ability, I do. And what that looks like is every situation, which I fail at pretty much every day, but I didn't forget to say it here. And I don't know if it's I don't know, but my prayer is always, how can I be of the greatest service to myself and everyone else? That is always my prayer. That is my practice. And when I find myself getting attached, I go to that practice, right? And I bow to the mystery. So I love that I have this practice. And the other thing I agreed with is in order for me to create a spiritual connection for myself, I have to start within, right? I have to breathe deeply. I have to connect myself and seek a spiritual solution. I heard you use, so there was a little bit of a paradox because I heard you say higher and lower, you know, kind of the right way is vertical. When in our, you know, there was these good, bad, right, wrong, holy, evil. And it, again, like last week, has to do with where is my mind? So do I have to be responsible for what I'm focused on? Absolutely. But I, alone with my mind, for me, and maybe I'm missing something or my practice is different, or I'm going to try what you're doing, but I by myself cannot change. I must connect with a spiritual solution. And it feels like you have a very structured template that serves you. And I love it. It's beautiful. But my most important template for me in my spiritual practice is I bow to the mystery. I don't judge myself. I just, when I'm attached, I seek a spiritual solution. And I don't always know the best place for my mind to be or my focus, but I can seek a spiritual solution. So this, to me, it sounds like your goal is to connect with this source so you can be outside of mass consciousness, which is gorgeous. But it, for me, and the way I facilitate, it's through our pain, it's through our shadows, it's through those personalities, right, that we're able to step back and invite a larger, more spiritual perspective. And that happens. Go ahead.
Good. Well, I love what you're saying. I think that, you know, we are only just scratching the surface of what we are working with here. And it is not to take away from anybody's practice, because a practice of devotion, a practice that connects with spirit, this is really what we are talking about very much. And when you are connecting in this way, you realize that everybody has got different strengths, different weaknesses. They come from different places. I might be a very mental person to start with, but I might fill in the rest later on. Other people might be very heartfelt people. Maybe people are very creative, maybe very physical. Maybe, you know, they work within different belief systems and different ways of doing things. Some people are very emotional. You know, this idea that this center channel, when you are developing it, it's going to fill in according to where you are. And if you're a feeling, heartfelt person, you're going to maybe fill it in with your emotional energies first, or maybe you're going to develop a practice where you're going to develop an unconditional love, and your heart is going to be the highest priority, you know. this idea that you're connecting with spirit and you're learning how to breathe along your center channel. There's a lot of different techniques with this that you can utilize and to incorporate within your being. Like if you are connecting with spirit, I mean, I use guides all the time. Jesus is probably one of my the biggest go-tos all the time. But if I develop a connection with my higher self, that's a different relationship, and you tend to know who it is when you connect too. And I would encourage everybody to develop this relationship, because it is by far the greatest authority that you can, besides God's presence itself, what is going to guide you, because he or she is going to be holding on to everything that you've ever gained. And when you develop a center channel, it can start being downloaded directly into your being. And as you can maintain those vibrations, your gifts will be given back to you, because you never lose anything. You only get separated from it. And so when you are recognizing that we're always learning, and that I used to call on my guides and my higher self to do the healing work all the time. And I would go into my practice and get into this center channel, and in this center channel, it becomes timeless. You recognize that you are connecting with spirit, with source, and you are in an empowered state when you're in this place. And one day when I was asking for these parts to be healed, God's voice comes in. He goes, "Now you do it," And I mean that just threw me off for such a long time, because I didn't know how to do it. I was like, "What do? I don't know how to do this healing stuff and everything." So I keep working with it, and I understand that this healing, understanding how to heal yourself and how to extend that to others, it is part of the process that you naturally evolve into as you grow up in the different levels, and eventually you end up graduating this school, and you learn how to pull yourself through all these different levels within mass consciousness, because these spheres of energetic fields are added to a planet as a planet matures. That's how a planet grows. It's like how concentric rings, and just like a tree would grow, it grows in concentric rings. And as our being has got these belief systems that are concentric rings around it, and we accept them. I am human. I agree to these laws of nature, laws of physics. I agree to this, be bound by civil laws and governments, and I agree to accept the belief systems of the masculine or the feminine, or the East and the West, and all these things that give us polarities that we then identify with when we're born. And it's just a suit that just is tight, and it really doesn't fit us very well. And we've believed in our experiences for way too long, when in fact we've been experiencing our beliefs. And so if we start developing a new mindset, we start taking responsibility for things, because these belief systems have been dragging us around and confining us to a place that has been squeezing the life out of us. And now, as we have a practice and we start expanding, we create a sphere of influence that insulates us from the world around us. And it also creates a sphere of influence that gives us some type of control. And that control is going to keep on changing as we grow. And we fill in the center channel with our emotional energies and our mental energies, and we fire it up with spirit, and we blaze a trail. And then we get all our different virtues and all the different rays. And we end up with a being that is full of color, and we pass and we graduate the school with flying colors, because the world will barely control us. It won't have an influence over everything that you conquer. You have dominion over that now serves you, whereas before you were under its influence. So this growing up is our freedom. And people think, "Oh, this is difficult and this is really hard." No, it's just a matter of taking one step at a time, getting your eyes open, having more insight than you did yesterday. And the hard part is not doing it, staying in your smallness, staying in your weakness, not coming out and really recognizing the true potential of who you are.
Dr. Christian, I want to say one more thing, and then I'm going to mute, because it's just me and you right now. Give people a voice. But so the other thing I just want to say that I agree with that you said is, that we need to expand how we see things. And that the whole world is a mirror to us. And, absolutely am a 12-step spirituality. We've got all those sayings, whatever you're what you're pointing at, you're seeing in you, in shadow work, someone that you don't like or get triggered by, that's work for you to do. So in that regard, I love that. And I think in a very practical sense, when we have conflict, right? In a very practical sense, it's so easy to blame the other. And if we can use conflict as a way to take responsibility for our perspective and see from another perspective, even if we don't agree, to me, that really turns me on in terms of connection and
Absolutely.
emotional maturity. Pass and no more from me. Thank you.
Oh, you get it. I think that's absolutely beautiful. The tricky part is like, having an open mind that actually tries to see something different, something new all the time, because we're here to grow and to also recognize that as we're growing, we bring others along with us too, that we get to share our truths and our understandings when people are tripping over what's on their plate, and it's just like they have to end up slowing down so much that they may be in a hospital bed before they actually can take a look at it even. Life is presenting it in a way that this is what we're here to do. And if you're not doing it, it will get you in a place where you have to look at it. And so if you're looking for it, it doesn't have to just clobber you over the head. You're actually, trying to see it, and it starts working. Life starts to work with you much quicker and easier, and you start to unfold in a much more graceful kind of a way. But eventually you'll start to push back, and you will push out all these the belief systems, all the judgments of the world, all this good, bad, right, wrong. You'll start to understand the perfection at every level, which is basically what we do where's Charlie? He's gone. Where'd he go? Anyways, oh, there he is. Hey, Charlie. Yeah, so Charlie is involved with the class that I teach, and we talk about, and we try to get to the point in the center and the perfection at each of these levels, and then expand on those so that we can have this vertical flow, have an anchor within our hearts at every level until we can start to expand back. And then you start to create a revolution and a spinning of your own consciousness that basically creates your own world, because the world of mass consciousness, your own world, is that which is world around you, and you are creating a world that is going to be different than what is of mass consciousness. You become what they call a revolutionary within something that is just supporting the status quo. So I'd like to get these t-shirts that kind of mark out status quo, so we can recognize and always remember that we're here to bring the change into the world, not to agree with its limitations and all. So yes, please, Paula.
This is very timely for me because a lot of changes have been happening in my life, and I've gone beyond, and I didn't realize this until you just said it. I have gone beyond belief to knowing. And for me, that is a huge change. And I've been helping a friend heal herself from a very dangerous disease in the last 3 weeks. And I felt myself change. I felt myself go from, no, I don't believe in that. I know I can help her heal. I know she can heal herself. And we had a conversation yesterday when she told me her test proved that she was in remission. And I said, okay, so both of us have gone beyond belief. We know now. And
It's beautiful.
What a freedom that was to say that. It was like, yeah, maybe I have known all along, but my belief systems got in the way. You're right. They were, because I was brought up Catholic, and you have to do this and you have to do that. And I've been fighting that most of my life. And I don't need to fight it anymore because I know now.
Oh, that's
So
absolutely beautiful. And when you're speaking, spirit is coming through. So you can feel it. You're right on track. That is absolutely beautiful.
thank you.
I
And
love
thank
it.
you for this discussion. So I needed to hear this today. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm just glad you guys had me. This is a lot of fun for me. This is my, when you're doing your passion, you want to share it with others. It's absolutely fun, and it should be kind of those that are seeking, I mean, it's much different than those that are still very childish about life, because I like to think about it as that, you know, when you place something out on a table or you place it in the room, seekers find it. They just, I mean, they'll just take it like crazy, you know, and it feels good. It doesn't just sit there not doing anything, you know. But when you meet people in the world that aren't like in a group like this, you have to meet people where they are a lot of times, you know. And if you can be spoon feeding people the truth, I mean, just like a baby with a little airplane spoon, you know, you just go around and you just try to, you get it right where it needs to go, and finally they accepted something, you know, and it usually comes right back at you, you know, all over you, all over the place. And so you just got to really meet people where they are, and you can't expect them to understand higher truths in a way that you would like to share and have people meet you where you are. You kind of have to meet other people where they are. But in groups like this, when you can share it, I mean, you don't have to spoon feed people. You just put it out there, man. You just throw it out anywhere, and people will grab it and find it and talk about it, and we expand on it, and it's a lot more fun, because then people were discovering things together, and that's what we're intended to do. Group consciousness is a powerful thing, because when people join together, your consciousness share, and you see things in a new light, and and when you can accept something, it's yours. It doesn't, there's no copyright on any higher truths. If you, and any part of it you can accept, it's yours. You take it home, you work with it, you expand it. They're like seeds, and they grow into something great, you know? Nikki, you're being awfully quiet over there. I know you got lots to say.
I'm trying to give others an opportunity. Charlie, you're on mute if you have something to say.
You talk to me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
And
I
B
love
has a
it all.
question too.
I love it all. I think Paula just explained very well what Dr. Steele is trying to communicate. And it reminds me of that our dogma often gets run over by our karma. And our belief systems restrict us from growing until we're ready to surrender that belief system and engage a way of knowing that takes us beyond what we previously held on to. As humanity seems, we all seem to be somewhat insecure in that we need to hold on to belief systems so tightly until we're ready to give them up. And one of the teachers of teachers used to say, being tied to a belief is like being tied to a stake. And she's so right. And another wonderful teacher, psychiatrist, who's passed on now, used funnel consciousness, which is essentially saying the same thing. You bring in that aspect of us that knows, and it's a lot different than what we believe. So I'm grateful for the conversation we're having today, and it's meaningful. And I think it'd be nice if we had even more people listening.
Yeah. B, you have a question.
Question, comment, like I love the thing that you said earlier, Christian, about like you have to meet people where they are, and sometimes you feel like you're like spoon feeding little bits of it to them. And I kind of think of these things as like seeds. And it also reminds me of last week's service where the medium was sharing about some things, and like what she told me about like my father. So like I tried to have these conversations with him about, you know, spirituality and our soul and stuff like that in little ways. And so her message was that like when he passed, all of a sudden he got it, and he was like, oh yeah, right, I get it, you were right. And it's a beautiful thing. Like those seeds sometimes mature while we're here on this side, and sometimes they mature and blossom when they, you know, people cross over. And hearing you talk about all this, like there's, you know, I recognize so many common threads of like these, maybe we call it higher truths, you know, that are in so many different like belief systems and religions and all of that around the world. And it seems like you're developing your way that you help people you know, grow and stretch and experience more, like expanding their consciousness, expanding their, you know, spirituality. And I just appreciate that. It's been nice to kind of hear you talk about how you do that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's take it just a little bit further since we have a little bit of time, because just to give you a little bit more of what we are all about, what we're doing in this technique, because we're just scratching the surface of what we're doing here. And so for the most part, what we're the planet had 3 different levels here until basically just before the turn of the century. And so we were limited to at the level of at the 3rd chakra, which is the rational mind, and the has to do with the balance of things. And now we've moved in more to a heart level of understanding, where things are more important with relationships, alliances, making friends. It's the relationships we have with others, and you can see it everywhere in the world. We're still just learning how to get along with each other, and those that actually understand what true power is through agreements and making alliances and friends, and it's better than trying to force things to happen and having to control people rather than having them willingly join type situations. But what I'd like to just point out, how we're trying to reach the perfection at, like, most people are very familiar with this 3rd level with reason, with the rational thought mindset. And that would be the level of the solar plexus. And the symbology there would be of the scales. And people have been mentioning balance a lot in the shadow side of things. And it has to do with understanding the scales of things. And this is our, on the physical manifestation, this would be our legal system, as well as higher understanding the university systems and all of the yellow light, understanding what it means to balance out these scales. And when you're in meditation, working on your center channel, you try to work at going up and doing your compass headings and trying to hit the target. At the same time, you pause. Every time you pause your breath, and every time you pause at a level, it's a different now moment. It's an opportunity to make new changes. The main thing we want to do is be able to make corrections so that you are aligning with your vertical change. You're correcting yourself, learning how to serve one master, developing the center channel. But you're also taking a look at the 2 sides, and you'll notice that there's 2 different frequencies within your being. And so you're trying to recognize that there is always other sides to the situation. And so you can kind of try to lift up one side a little bit to match the vibrations of the other, because you want the 2 sides to see eye to eye. You want them to match. Otherwise, there's what we call division. They're not on the same page. And so these conflicts to work out, a lot of times is this dancing around between the different levels and all. And if you can learn how to use the scales and see the situations on one side and the other side, you can see that there's a masculine type of a view on your right side. There's a feminine point of view on the left side, and you try to be impartial and try to bring the 2 sides together, match them. You're basically playing this role of God inside yourself as you empower yourself, and you learn how to not take sides, and you see how you get away from this black and white mindset that we're trained to be in, where things are good, bad, right, wrong, better, worse. And you learn how to try to understand the perfection and how to be accepting of both sides as you lift yourself up in a balanced situation where there's not conflict and there's not this vision that topples you over, where the fulcrum tips you over and you get off track, or you're disappointed, or there's different ways of basically getting you back into balance again. But it has to do with basically understanding the laws, and the laws of karma have not been really introduced very well into mass consciousness. So we learn how to relook at the situations, and we learn how to accept responsibility to raise up ourselves so that we can go through this seeing eye to eye, where there then becomes an engagement, and there's an internal marriage that takes place within our beings. And it doesn't happen on its own. You have to be present there to be able to bring these two sides together. You reach out, or you branch out into one area and branch out into the other. And then when you resolve it all, because we don't want to give into the victim mentality or the abuser type situation, you start to lift up one versus the other, take responsibility. The shadow side is a reflection of the other side. So you learn how to find the balance point in the middle that sees the perfection of things. And we tend to make whatever situation is, we tend to judge it quickly as good or bad, or something that needs to be compensated. If there's three different virtues that I would say to integrate, it's respect, fairness, and safety. And so without being seen, you have to be seen, you have to be expressive, you have to be able to be present there. But this idea that there's fairness is part of the balancing of things. And even if you are in a personality center on the edge of the tree, there's a balance and there's a fairness that meets you where you are, and you honor the smaller balances that is working itself out as you're developing the center part of the tree that understands the bigger picture, where everything is happening to people for a reason, because they don't see other sides. They're always identifying more with one side or the other. And you learn how to recognize that everything is as it should be, that we actually make things that appear to be imbalanced, and where we have to compensate for victimhood and rebalance things out. That's happening to them because they have the beliefs of being victims, and that we actually create by trying to have our legal system take hold and to create a balance and a fairness in the situation. We actually create an imperfection out of something that was already perfect to begin with. We just didn't have the insight to see it. So getting back to the perfection at every level, and recognizing that there is a target to hit, and that everything, you're trying to see the perfection as it is now. And just because it appears to be something else, it's only our lack of understanding that keeps us from seeing perfection. It's a big mindset shift that says, I don't have to change the world around me. I just have to change the way I see it. And I have to change the way I interact with it. And I have to not only know who I am, but then become who I am as well. So that the knowing who you are is a precursor to becoming. That was a mouthful, I know. But that was just one level, and each level has their own types of perfection that we will get into. If you guys ever have me back, we can go into more of this too.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. There is a ton of stuff shared here today. Kevin, you have a job ahead of you editing this video. So I appreciate that. We do have a need for a speaker next week. We've got the following 2 weeks full. We've got Terry on the 24th, and Sally is going to do the Easter on the goddess of Easter on
Nice.
the 31st. So I need somebody for the 17th if anybody wants to volunteer or request. And thank you, Christian. It was a beautiful service. Appreciate all of your perspective, and we will have you back. I see nodding going on in the background.
Definitely. I can do
kind of,
well, go ahead, B.
well, I mean, if you have an idea, you go for it. I could do this one another time, but I've been playing around with just a discussion about the idea of the chakras and the different levels, and also incorporating like the bijou seed sound mantras and talking about those a little bit, but that could be another time.
Nope, go. I was just going to go something generic, so go.
Okay.
Thank you.
So if you could just let me know what your title is going to be, I'll put that in the newsletter for next week.
Yeah, I have to mull on the title, and I'll get it to you.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Steele, and please
Oh,
come
thank
back
you for having
soon.
me.
We need
Yeah.
to, we need to talk about this more.
All right, thank you. Bye, bye-bye.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Nikki, there's another thing I think we can discuss sometime is that,
Okay.
you know, do we want to have this an open forum or do we want it to be private? And, you know, my kind of feeling is a Sunday gathering should be more of an open forum. And if you're concerned about privacy, if you want to, you know, a healing session with somebody on the side, if you want to talk about things that you feel ashamed of or something, you don't want to bring it up on Sunday, that's another consideration. But I think Sunday services, you know, to be free, we need to speak our truth, right? We need to find that balance he's talking about. So, you know, in mega churches, they'll bring up anything in church, and they're there to get it healed, not to hide it. So that's kind of my bias. I think we ought to discuss it as a group.
Okay. Yeah, we can certainly do that.
By the way, Sally's birthday was yesterday. Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday.
Sally.
Happy birthday.
And that phone call down there is Laura. She's back home finally.
Welcome home, Laura. And send some love and healing vibrations Carrie's way. She's getting some
Carrie,
results
yeah.
read tomorrow in her
Good.
area, in her neck of the woods. So
Yeah.
love and blessings to all. Anything else?
Have a blessed week.
Yeah, we ended right on time. Woo!
You. That's
All
a
right.
rarity.
Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Bye.
Steele.
Thank you again, Dr. Steele.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.